curiosity starting to get the better of me. I started grabbing every connector I could find. I started playing around with this thing, trying to find out exactly what would work and what wouldn't work. Here's what I found. What's up everyone, KF7QGY here. In my recent video that I did about the Maonocaster E2 Gen 2, I ended up with a question in the comments. Sorry that it's taken me so long. I know I said give me a couple days on this. So today we're going to go over all the inputs and the outputs that are on the back and I guess even on the front of your Maonocaster E2 Gen 2. So I want to start this off by going over a feature that I forgot to mention in my little breakdown and demo video for your eCaster Gen 2. The original, when you turned it off and you turned it back on, it would not save all your settings. So whatever you normally end up using, like your side chain, your music, or your loop back for whatever that you do, and you turn off your original and turn it back on, you had to go back through and redo everything again. On the Gen 2, it will hold all those settings. So as long as your battery hasn't drained, whatever you normally use or whatever you had on it last will come back in those settings, which makes it really nice that if you're just wanting to come in, you got an idea and you want to do your recording, just hit that power button, turns on, you're ready to go with whatever you normally roll with. Here on the back of the Gen 2, we'll start off with mic port number 1. This is a combination XLR and 1/4 inch or 6.35 millimeter combination jack. First off, XLR I found works the best. It's the easiest and you're probably going to be using it for your microphones anyway. Where curiosity got the better of me was I started playing around with it. When I bought all my microphone cables and everything, I bought me a cable that was a TS, so a tip and a sleeve. It's a 2 contact or a mono cable to an XLR cable. I started by hooking this thing in because I wanted to find out if I could use the 1/4 inch with a microphone. I was able to get it to work just fine. I tried plugging in a TRRS or a tip ring and sleeve. It's normally what you'd find for stereo connectors. I plugged that in. It worked a little bit, but it didn't like it. It was almost like one side of it was missing. So I'm guessing that in the inside of it, it is only just a 2 contact combination port, or the other contact just may not be hooked up on the inside of it. I'm not going to tear it apart to try and find out. What I did notice too was that when I had the stereo hooked up and was testing it, it almost sounded like port number 1 has like a frequency limiter inside of it, so it cuts out certain frequency ranges just so it can filter what you'd normally have for vocals. Next to port 1, we have port number 2. This is also a combination port, just the same as number 1, but there's some differences to it. Again, curiosity got the better of me. I decided to go through the same method of testing and I used a TRS hooked up to one of my mobile devices to stream music. I was able to get stereo to go through just fine on this port. So if you want to try and use it as another input for music, all you need is just the adapters to go from a 3.5 millimeter into a 1/4 inch. Those are really common to find. Or you can be lucky enough and buy a set of headphones that already comes with it. I tried to also use, after finding out that I could do the stereo with the TRS connector, I tried to use the mic with a TS connector. That didn't work. I had no audio at all. I decided to get really curious and I tried to hook up one of those little bullet mics like this one here to see if, since it has a TRS style connector, if I could get audio to go through on it. I couldn't do that either. Even with the high Z turned on, it wouldn't work. So for microphones, it's just for XLR. If you want to use it as an additional music input, you can do it. What it is intended for is for instruments. I don't have a way of testing that. I don't have any instruments to test the TS cord to be able to go through to see what happens. I'm sure since it's labeled that way, that's the way that it works, and then you just turn on your high Z from what I was reading. Because there's dual XLR ports, what you remember from my other video was that you lost a couple of your positions for your longer replay on your pad. You have your phantom power buttons, one for each microphone there. Both ports can be individually controlled with the phantom power so that you can use a dynamic mic and a condenser mic, 2 condensers, 2 dynamics. It has some versatility to it. Just recommended that you use the XLR in order to use any of those features and to have the best results for using a microphone. Next to our microphone and combination input ports, we have our high Z switch. I didn't test this. I have no way to test it. I had somebody down here at Performance Audio in South Salt Lake try and explain it to me. I didn't understand it, so I'm sorry that I can't help you guys there. All that I can tell you is that when I had an XLR mic plugged into input number 2, which that's the only input that this thing affects, I didn't notice any difference whether I was using any of the other inputs, so I'm guessing it has something to do with instruments only. Next to our high Z switch is our auxiliary input. This is a TRRS only connector. A TRRS is this one right here. It is a tip, a ring, and a sleeve. This is the most common kind of connector that you could probably end up finding. It's normally the one that you would use for your aux cable to hook your device up to your radio in your car if you're not using Bluetooth. It's also the type of connector that you would normally find on a set of headphones that does not have an inline microphone. This port is usually intended for doing things like inputting music into it from another source. It works great for stereo, full range, and everything. The book specifies that this is a TRRS only port. I decided to get curious and I tried to use a TRRS. It didn't work. Next to your auxiliary input port, you have your monitor speaker output. The monitor speaker output is the same type of 3.5mm TRRS style connector that is used for the auxiliary input port. The volume control for your monitor speakers is the same headphones control for the 2 headphone ports on the front of your caster that we will get to in a minute. During the demo for the eCaster, I mentioned the monitor button. The monitor button is used to have either your microphone inputs to go to your monitor and your headphones. If you do not have that monitor button pushed, then you will not hear your microphone inputs from ports 1 and 2. The audio from your mics from ports 1 and 2 will still go through to your streaming ports and your USB-C data port that I will be covering here in a minute. Now, whether you have your monitor button turned on or turned off, you will still hear in your headphones and on your monitor output port your music or anything coming in through your auxiliary input port or your Bluetooth. This also includes the voice prompts that you hear when you make a selection for like the reverb, the wet, dry, the side chain, and the loop back and such. If I read my notes right and I played around with things just right, if you have an instrument or if you have a 1/4-inch jack hooked up to your port number 2, it should still play through whether you have the monitor button selected or not. That it will only apply if you have an XLR hooked up. My notes started getting a little scratchy. I was doing a lot of playing around. Bear with me if I'm wrong. Next to our monitor speaker output, we have our STREAMOUT 1 and STREAMOUT 2 ports. These 2 ports are identical. Both ports require a 3.5mm TRRS style connector. A TRRS style connector is this one right here. It is a tip, a ring, and a sleeve. This is most commonly found in a set of like wired headphones, like if you went to like the Apple store and bought one of their wired earbuds that has a 3.5mm and you have that thing hanging down just below your ear for your microphone, it will have a TRRS style. The output level control for your Stream 1 and your Stream 2 is the same for your USB-C that we'll cover here in a minute. This one knob covers all 3 of your output ports simultaneously. This port is useful if you're trying to stream to either a mobile device, or in my case, I have an Osmo Pocket 2 and I just plug it right into the bottom of the handle and I use my caster for my audio input to my camera. In my time playing around with this to make this video, I wanted to find out how much my StreamOut 1, my StreamOut 2 acted like my USB-C. I wanted to see if I could get the audio to go from my device down to my caster. I couldn't do it through my streaming output ports, even though they are a TRRS style connector. If you want to try and use the 3.5mm StreamOut ports to record onto your mobile devices, the odds are that you will need a dongle or some kind of an adapter. Now, I have a couple different ones. One of them here is for an Android. It is a USB-C to a USB-C charge port and a 3.5mm TRRS style connector. This one is relatively common. I haven't had any problems with it. It works great. I can't do TRRS function, so when I tried to stream from my Android device through the dongle to my auxiliary input port, it wouldn't work. But if you are trying to if you get the adapter for a TRRS, then it will work just fine. Apple device users that have a lightning adapter like what I do on my iPhone 12, you need to be aware that when you're shopping around for this type of a dongle, like this one here, this one does not work. I went through 4 of these things trying to make this video. That way I could hopefully try and demonstrate it. I couldn't demonstrate some of the stuff, so I gave up the whole idea. This one turned out to be a TRRS style connector. It will not work with a TRRS. What I was finding is that they aren't properly labeled either. So if you want to use the dongle, I suggest that you go with one of the other adapters for one of the other ports, and I'll go over that one here in just a minute. One of the other type adapters on Amazon that you need to be aware of before you purchase it are those streaming ones. They have a headphones port that most of the ones I've seen are labeled as a TRRS style, and then a microphone port that is a TRS. The only way that you will be able to use that, from what I can tell by their description on Amazon, is if you were to hook that via an AUX cable or a TRS cable up to your monitor speaker output. Then you will have your other selections and things like that, your voice prompts go through. So be aware before you purchase anything like that. Next to our STREAMOUT 1 and our STREAMOUT 2, we have our USB-C data connection. This one I have found to be the best, easiest, and most versatile option if you are using your Maonocaster and want to stream out from it. You can use the supplied cable that came with your Maonocaster for your USB-C with an affixed USB-C to USB-A adapter to stream to your computer, your Android, or your Apple device. For hooking up your Maonocaster to your computer, it's pretty much just plug and play, and then select your microphone and speaker outputs to be your caster, and you're off and rolling. For mobile devices, you just have to make sure that your device is capable of a standard UAC or USB audio class function. To use an Android device via USB-C, you must have an Android device that is capable of the USB host or the on-the-go feature in order for this to work as well. If you have the on-the-go feature, then you do not need any adapters. You can hook your Maonocaster USB-C port straight to the USB-C connector on your Android device. There's an extra little benefit to it too by doing it via the USB, and I'll get to that one here in just a minute. With having the 3 different ports on your caster in the back for output, you can use your USB-C as an input from your Android device as well. So if you were to play audio on your Android device, it would go back down to your caster. Now the catch is that you can't record on your Android device while you are playing out on your Android device. I couldn't get this to work. It's either playing or it's listening, but it won't do both. So if you need something like the loop back feature that you would use on your computer, to where if you're watching a video on your computer, the audio comes down, goes through your caster to be mixed with your microphone, and then goes back to get recorded on your computer. You can't get that to work on your Android. At least I couldn't. Now you can use your USB-C with your iPhone or your Apple device. Apple users, you're not quite as lucky as Android. Android already has a USB-C. Now, there are newer iPhones or Apple devices out there that do have a USB-C connector. If you do, you should be able to just hook the USB-C connector straight to your Apple device. If you are like me and you have something like an iPhone 12 that has the Lightning port on it, then you will need to buy an adapter to use your USB-C cable. With this adapter, you will have all of the same features as to what I mentioned on the Android device. You can have things playing going down to your caster, or you can be streaming out to your mobile device. I couldn't get both to work at the same time. If I was playing on the iPhone, I couldn't get it to record on the iPhone. If you do have one of those Lightning connectors, the type of dongle or adapter that you will need is this one right here. It is a Lightning to a camera adapter. What it is it is a lightning plug to a USB 3 adapter that also has a lightning plug port on it for charging your Apple device. Next to our USB-C data port, we have our DC 5-volt input. This one has an added benefit to it. Not only does it power and or charge your Maonocaster, but if you are using a USB-C data port to your mobile device, it will charge some select products. I couldn't find any list of which products they are, but all of my Android devices that I was able to connect directly, they work. This can be a handy little feature if you only have one power pack, and you can plug in your Maonocaster, plug in your mobile device, and now you're good to go and off and running. The only catch is according to the book, it says that it must be a 5-volt DC, 2-amp capacity power supply. Next to our 5-volt charge and power port, we have our backlight button. Our backlight button is a really simple button. It's a push on and push off. This just turns on and off the lights and things like that on your Maonocaster. The downside that I found was that if you turn it off, everything still functions, but it also turns off your levels on there so that you can't see what your levels are doing. So you will need to set it and then go from there and just hope it all is working all right. Next to the backlight button, you have the power button. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Now here on the front of your Gen 2, you have your 2 headphone ports, just the same as what you had on your original Maonocaster E2. These ones are 3.5mm jacks. They can use either TRRS or TRRS style connectors. The microphone function is not supported through the headphones jacks. So you can listen with the 4-contact headphones, but you cannot have it as a microphone input. Hopefully that answers everybody's questions. Sorry I didn't go through all that stuff in the first video that I did. If there's any other comments or questions, please let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.